Hello, this is going to be a reading for Earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. We're going to take a look at the past, the present, and the future. Remember that the future is always changeable through free will, so if you don't like what you hear for the future, in terms of how it will most likely end up, then take that as a challenge rather than as a sentence. And we'll look into some ways that we can improve for the next little bit here, the immediate future. Spirit, please help to give clear and guided messages for the Earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. I'm using the Mystic Mondays deck, and since this is my first reading, I want to say take reversals. I think that it helps to give just a more clear and detailed understanding of the situation. Bottom of the deck energy, which is the overarching energy for your situation at this moment, is Temperance, actually. That's beautiful. Temperance is the card of Sagittarius, and it represents balance and harmony. Okay. For the past. Seven of Swords in reverse. I feel like you've been kind of struggling through maybe some conflicting ideas, a lot of things coming at you at once, and feeling like, yes, you know how to defend yourself, but being unsure maybe of how to proceed with that, not wanting to strike out too soon or too aggressively in one direction in case something else came in a different direction that you needed to be aware of. Just being overall a bit, maybe not stagnant, but defensive, I would say. The present situation is the Five of Wands in reverse. I think that maybe you have some gaps to fill in still. Like maybe you're making progress a bit more now. You're getting a bit clear on a direction that you wish to have, or perhaps that is what your goal is for the moment. Maybe you don't feel quite yet that you've chosen a direction or a path yet, but that is your goal for right now, and you're trying to untangle all of the things. What I'm getting in my mind, what vision I'm getting, is like one of those big rubber band balls. You're trying to like get all the rubber bands individually sorted by color and by size and all those kinds of things. So perhaps you're trying to really have a good idea of the situation in its fullness before you make decisions. It seems though maybe you're struggling with that, and we're going to get some clarifying cards, like I said, to see what areas you can be working on and perhaps how you can be overcoming those things. For the future, the Five of Swords upright. really enjoy this card because there's quite a bit of balance to it. The Swords cards, I think, can be intimidating at times because sometimes they can represent conflict. But for this one in particular, I think that this conflict may be internal and it may be necessary in order to... my puppy's coming downstairs. Necessary to turn the Seven of Wands in reverse into a harmonized, focused mindset. If you notice, these cards are not unsimilar. If you were to turn this up, it's a bit more chaotic. She's more defensive, and this one is very pointed. Obviously, it's a sword, but it is all pointing in the same direction, even what you could consider your sword. Whereas in this one, you know, it's more of a defense mechanism, trying to fight these swords, whereas this one is uniting the swords. So, I enjoy that. Spirit, what can we be working on for the earth signs? Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. What can we think about in terms of ourselves in ways that we can grow? Bye, Piglet. My puppy goes up and down those stairs a lot, so if you hear that, that's what it is. What can earth signs be working on? What things maybe are out of balance that can be brought into balance, or things can be built upon? What areas can they focus towards at this moment in their best and highest good? This is, by the way, the Wild Unknown Spirit Animal deck. I feel incredibly connected to spirit animals. Specifically, I think that animals are a huge guide for me in my life, so I pretty much use the spirit animal deck in any read that I do. I think that it is an incredible way to connect with nature and to spirit. Okay. For their best and highest good, what things can earth signs be working on? Interesting. The Oyster in reverse. I don't even know if you can really appreciate the full color of this. I'm hoping to get a better camera with time. The Oyster in reverse. The oyster is said to be patient, a secret keeper, and hiding inner treasures. The focus and determination of the oyster is unmatched. Anything an oyster personality puts to their mind, they achieve with grace and charm. The only problem is, the oyster type often takes their inner gifts for granted. They become shy or doubtful, and this can lead to withdrawing or protecting their deepest desires in life's work. When the oyster card appears, it's important to reveal your inner treasures. What is it you've been hesitant to share? The world is waiting to see. When the oyster is in balance, it feels blessed, generous, and masterful. When it feels out of balance, it is reluctant, gripping, and clams up. To bring the oyster into balance, you can share something. It's interesting to me, this card. I think the imagery is just beautiful in this deck. But you can see the inner treasure. You can see it. It's there. It's a presence. It's an aura of the oyster. But the actual pearl, the essence and core of the beauty, is hidden. Let's get an oracle card. I'm going to use the Secret Language of Light oracle today and see what things we can do to really tap into this. I do enjoy that they, in the Wild Unknown Spirit Animal deck, they kind of state one thing that you can do to bring into balance the essence of your spirit animal, but I do find that it perhaps is sometimes vague, so I like to solidify it with a deeper meaning oracle card. So Spirit. What can earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, do to open themselves up? How can they go about sharing more for their best and highest good? What choices can they make? What things can they focus on in order to make that an easy path? Beautiful. Wow. Number 19 is transformation. I would really suggest pausing the video and really just taking a solid look at these cards, because I find that there is so much interpretation that can be taken from these cards, and while I use my intuition and connection to spirit to interpret things, there is absolutely an additional meaning that you can take from it. To me, the combination of this world, this like circle in the middle, and this oyster card says to me that you have a pearl. This is the pearl, this transformation, and the transformation is necessary for you to see just how radiant that pearl is, just how beautiful it is. I mean, if you it's incredible. Look at, if you put this on top of here and say, for example, you imagine the oyster opening up, it's clear what is making this aura, that pearl, 100%. So the Secret Language of Light oracle deck gives some additional information as to meditative practices that you can do, and some journal work, some reflection. So I'm going to read it for you. You are experiencing an ending. You are feeling a loss as a hole or void in your life. This empty feeling is a space for something new and better. A new way will reveal itself very soon. Pain is something that happens to all of us, but suffering is a choice. To suffer is to believe thoughts that are not your soul's truth. Justifying, analyzing, and rationalizing will separate you further from your soul's wisdom. From this state, you will blame yourself, another, or an event for feeling angry or sad. Focusing on the suffering will only cement the ideology or belief that it created. In other words, you become what you fight against. Now imagine what you can create by focusing on all the beautiful aspects of your life and what you're good at. Focus on where your life is filled with things that make you smile. Change starts within you, and all your desires begin with a dream. Where will you place your focus tomorrow morning? So it says for some reflections and actions. It takes the same amount of energy to be happy or sad. Your life stems from beliefs that you practice the most. But think deeply. Are they helping you? I would strongly encourage you to pause the video, maybe rewind to hear it again, but pause the video and really actually sit with yourself for a moment. Take a deep breath in and out. Close your eyes, block out the world, and think to yourself. Next, for one day, don't assume anything about anyone or anything, even if you've experienced a person or situation many times before. That's, I think, an incredibly difficult practice because assumptions can be subconscious even. So it is absolutely a practice to be intentional in your thoughts and to clarify things out loud with people if and when they're necessary. So don't get frustrated with yourself if you find yourself assuming things or pushing blame onto things. Just come back to yourself. Radically forgive yourself in the moment and then go forward. Next, spend a few moments checking in with what you think is true and ask yourself, is this what I think it is? Seek clarity on what you think and believe. This is kind of what I just said, like, come back to yourself in the moment and say, is this truth that I feel to be true actually real? Is it an illusion? And if you're truly not sure, try and clarify with people, with yourself, by writing things down. I find that to be incredibly helpful to find clarity. And if it's just truly frustrating you, then table it, because maybe you're not meant to know that in that moment. Maybe you're meant to find wisdom other places that will help round you out in your character so that you can come back and get a clear and concise answer. Last, for inspired reflections and actions. Read between the lines of articles, emails, or books. Consider the standpoint of the author. No judgment. This is your comprehension and understanding. I think that this can even be going further than the things you take in terms of like emails and books and stuff like that. And from an interpersonal standpoint, using compassion and empathy to put yourself into another's shoes and trying to understand why they're doing the things that they do is an incredibly liberating way to approach things. Liberating for both parties, because the other party feels understood and you are able to rise above judgments, anger, which typically stems from hurt or preconceived idea. So withholding judgment and instead using compassion and understanding in order to broaden your idea of things. Lastly, journal work. And I am in full awareness that the majority of people maybe that watch this video will repel against the idea of sitting down and journaling. For whatever reason, there's a million reasons why that could be, but I strongly encourage this. This is one of the ways that when you automatic write, when you allow your mind to free up in this way, though it can be difficult because perhaps there's things you don't want to recognize, it starts this landslide of transformation. And yes, we got the transformation card, so that is a beautiful tie-in, but this is applicable to really any situation. Can you hear Piglet? Journal work. You can't change anything by fighting what has already been created. To bring about change, create new ways that supersede the old ways. Draw or write about something that makes you suffer every time you think about it. Now write down 5 reasons why it makes you suffer, and 5 ways it has motivated you to create something different. Next time you feel yourself reacting as suffering, focus on something different that you have written down. The brain is something that is incredibly interesting to me from a biological standpoint and from a psychological standpoint, and I really enjoyed that card or that practice, the idea of almost a pros and cons list, and then focusing on the pros that you can then create a new way of thinking from. The power of the mind is limitless, and what you think is what you emanate. So if you're focusing on the lack mentality, the suffering that you've gone through and why you're suffering, why it's there, you're just ruminating on it, it's just there, it's a ball. That's the path you're choosing for yourself. Whereas if you choose to focus on the things that you're doing to change yourself, the transformation that's happening, the positives, the way that you want to continue on this dream, then that's the path you will continue on. And there's no way to do 100% either way. But it has to be a conscious choice to shift the pendulum into the positive direction. Alright. I'm just going to ask Spirit one last time if there's any advice. Any advice, Spirit, or any closing remarks, thoughts, concerns, feelings for our Earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Not today. Thank you so much, and I hope that this has helped you in some way. Please come back soon for more fun.